Are you here? Is you present? I accepted your friend's request. Turn on low latency if I remember how to do that. I keep switching between. I should pop out chat. Let me pop out. Okay, now I can mess around with the dashboard, not lose chat. You can just tell me when you're here. I think you're here, but I don't know. Hey, Hanson. So, this should be pretty simple since you have a preloaded card. You just need to... You're going to screw some things up. Everybody always does, and still, it's really easy to screw things up. That's why it's good to have a good backup on your computer. But if you can see my stream, right now I got the compact flash card in the reader, and that's the same 3 files you should have. So I think you're going to want to make your own save states probably. So I'll just kind of first go over that. Just verify this all looks normal, and you can put your card in the reader and see the same thing that I'm showing. And hopefully there's low latency so we don't have to wait forever for you to answer after I say something. Yeah, if you want to put it in the reader and just go ahead and kind of follow along, you can, or I can just show you. It's pretty easy stuff. You guys are pretty sharp guys. Okay, so save states. Well, first off, there's 3 files. The games, the Powerpak, and the slots. Never open or do anything with the Powerpak file. You don't want to mess with anything inside that folder. So just pretend that that folder's not even there. So of course the games file, I'll open that. And it's just like a computer. You can make subfolders. So I just started making subfolders with the first letter that the game starts with. So for example, I made a M folder, and inside that I downloaded the ROMs for Punch Out under the M folder. So you can see there I got the Mr. Dream NES ROM, and you know how to get those probably. You just go to freeroms.com, or there's a couple other sites out there, but you can just download the .NES ROM files, and then that's the folder you'd want to stick them in. So the games folder is only to put the game ROMs. You'll only have the .NES's of whatever games you want in that folder and in the subfolders. The next folder is called slots, and I just made it slots. That's save states. So that's your save states folder. So for what I have, if you open up slots, you can make separate folders there also for the different games you want to make save states for. The only thing I really use is Punch Out. So I made a MTPO folder. You can name it whatever you want. And that's where you got your .pow files. That's your save states. Then you can rename those POWs to whatever you want to call them. So you'll see I've got Honda 2, Honda 1, Hippo, Don 2, 2 stars. You know, you can just make whatever save states you want. But the POW file, that allows you to make 5 save states. So you can see, if you look on here, you can see how I got some random ones just called slots 1, slots 2, and I've got a slots 3. Those are just blank ones ready to be used. So you always want to make sure you've got some spare POW files, and you can have as many as you want. So like right now I've got 3 of them, so I'll show you how to make a 4th. So all I'll do is like we'll copy slots 3, copy, and then we'll just go ahead and repaste it. It's been a while since I've done this. I think it'll repaste it on my computer as like a parenthesis 1, I don't know, paste. What did it do? Okay, so I've got a slots3 copy.pow. So I'm going to rename that just to clean it up to a slots4. So now I've got 4 free save state files. And you can make a 5th, a 6th, a 7th. I usually just, once I make save states and I get down to 1 or 2 of them, I just make a few more for future use. So okay, so that's that step. That's how you make save states. That's how you put games on the ROMs on the pack. And that's how you prepare to make save states. So now let's say we might have to put the card back in and out a couple times to show you, but I'll move over, I'll put the card back in the pack to show you now what it looks like on the pack from what you've seen here. So let me eject my CF card. Okay. Put the pack back in. Okay. So now we got the pack in. When your pack's in, this is the first screen you should see. I don't know if you've already played with it, but let me know if you're doing this with me or if I should just keep going. Or if you want me to wait till you put the pack in, you should get to this screen. Holding up. I got beer and vape here. I'm good. I had to unplug my USB port that does my controller input, so you won't be able to see the button inputs, but it's pretty simple. And I've kind of got a cold, so pardon that. Are you with Beef? Is he there with you? You guys watching this top-notch tutorial together? I'll probably highlight this tutorial because I searched YouTube just to kind of find you guys a video to watch, but there's no real good tutorial on how to use the pack for save states. Took me months to get with the right people to figure it out. That's funny because when I said are you all together, I was going to say holding hands, but I'm not in that mood yet, so I just let that one go, but I was going to say it. Bad file header. So if you got the CF card in the pack, and you're using the normal NES, I don't know what kind of NES you're using. I think Retro Gamer had some issues because he had a top loader or something. I don't know all the details, but I think he had an issue because he didn't have a true NES, and I don't know if it's because he didn't have a top loader. He had a top loader, or if he had some other Famicom or some other bullshit. It's because you hit start. What happens if I hit start? Well, tell me when or if you can get to, if I hit reset, it just goes to that screen. Punch out loaded for beefs. Okay, we both got MTPO little. Well, tell me when you're on this screen. Just hit reset and it should take you to this screen. So since you got it to load, I'll just, I guess, keep going because you're probably okay. So from this screen, the A button is almost kind of like, yeah, select start brings up a menu if you have a game loaded. But let's pretend we don't have a game loaded yet. So from this screen, if you hit the A button, it'll bring you up and show you the 3 files that are on the pack. And that's where you want to hit up and down arrows to select one. So we're going to select a game by hitting A. Scroll down to our M folder, hit A. Scroll down to mtpo.nes, hit A. Then it'll bring it to this game. So if you hit A again, right, A is almost like enter or select. So if I hit A right here, it would just start the game. It wouldn't do a save state. So if you go up to, and you can go down, down's faster from where you're at. And you can, we'll talk about that later. So if you go down to select a slot file, brings you back to this menu. Instead of going to games, we already loaded a game. So now we're going to load a save state that we've already made. Pick the folder, MTPO, and there's all the save states I have. And you can see the slots, extra slots 1, 2, 3, and 4. I hate how they don't put them in order, but that's fine. So let's say I wanted to practice Dawn. Well, let's just pick like a Honda 1. Just go down to Honda 1. Up and down scrolls slow. Left and right scrolls fast. So select Dawn 1, hit A to select it. Brings you back to this screen. Then you just hit A again and it'll start the game with the save state. If I wanted to practice Honda 1, this is what I do. Like I said before, so we loaded a Honda 1 POW file. Like I said, POWs give you 5 save states. So what you can do is hit select and start at the same time to bring up the save state menu. So if you hit select and start at the same time, it brings up this menu. And if you look over, you hit select to go from the three screens. So if you go to the slot screen, that's your 5 save states. So I got slot 1, select slot 1, hit select to go back to menu. And I've got back to game selected, so I hit A. And that'll bring me back to the game, and slot 1 is selected. So here is where, if you look at this screen again by hitting select and start, down in my config menu, I have quick save load selected. It's got a box in it. If I uncheck that, I would have to go up to this menu and either save a state or load a state manually. But I have the quick thing checked, so select A is the same thing as save a state, and select B is the same thing as load a state. And that's much faster and much easier. So I use the quick shortcuts to save and load. So if I go back to the game, now I'm going to hit select and B. That's going to load that slot 1 save state. Select B, there's Dawn 1. So let's say I wanted to make Now here's how we've got 4 extra slots to make save states for Dawn 1. So let's say I wanted to make slot 2 to be a save state for after I knock Dawn, or yeah, I thought that was a Honda save state, but I don't, maybe my save state's messed up. Back to game. So let's select in B, we'll restart the save state. This is Dawn 1. Let's just so let's say I want to make a save state here to practice this part. So you get to the point where you want to make it, hit start and select to bring up this menu, go over to slot 2, change it to slot 2, go back to game, and as soon as I hit A, it's going to start the game. Then I'm going to immediately hit select an A to make a save state in that slot. So A to go back to game, and then select A to save a state. Back to game, save a state. So now if I hit select B, there's that new save state. Select B, there's the new save state. Now if I wanted to make another save state from here for some reason, I hit start and select, go to my third slot, go back to game, hit select A, and that'll make another save state in slot 3. So back to game, select A. I just made a save state here at 45 seconds. So select B keeps bringing that up. And you can overwrite save states, you can do whatever you want, but you get 5 save states for each POW file. And where I said you're going to make mistakes, and that's why a lot of people uncheck the quick save load, because sometimes you go to make a save state, instead of hitting select A, you hit select B, or vice versa. Let's see, if you want to make a save state, you hit select A. So a lot of times when you're going to load a save state, if you accidentally hit select A instead of select B, you're just going to override that same save state and you're going to have to remake it. So you're going to have to get to that point in the fight again and hit the right button. Nope, that's the next part. So I showed you how to make POW files, how to make extra ones. Now I'll show you how to make a new one from scratch. So let's say we'll just start with Glass Joe because he's the very first fight. So if you want to make a save state from scratch, I'm going to take it back out and put it in the card reader right now. Okay, my card reader is not liking it. There we go. Okay, so we got the card reader back in. So let's say you want to make a brand new save state of your own for Glass Joe. So I'm going to go into slots, MTPO, and I'm going to pick one of those extra save states. And it don't matter how you do it. I'm just going to start with slots 4, the new one that we made. I don't want it to be slots 4, then I wouldn't know what fight it is, so I'm going to rename that. We'll rename this save state to, I don't even have a Glass Joe save state, I don't think, so we'll just make one. Glass Joe. So all you do is rename it, but leave it a .pow. So now I've got a Glass Joe save state, and now I can go make save states. So I'm going to eject that, put it back in the pack. Hit reset. Alright. So now to make a save state here, what I'm going to do is hit A to go to the menu, select a game, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and S. So now that game's loaded. I'm going to select a slot file. So I'm going to go to select slot file, slots folder, MTPO. Now you should find the one that you just renamed, that we named Glass Joe, and hit A to start the game. If I would have named this file Von Kaiser, I would just have to play through Glass Joe, get to Von Kaiser, and then start making my save states. But since this is a Glass Joe save state, I'm going to start a game. Now, like right now, if I hit select A, it's going to make us, let's see, if we bring up the menu, you can see slot 1 is automatically selected. So if I hit select A, from here, it's going to save there. So I'm going to hit select A. Now I've got a save state for Glass Joe in the number 1 spot. So now if I hit select B, it just brings me right back here. But let's say I don't want to start there. Like I said, you can override him. So as soon as he starts coming to the fight, I'm going to hit select A again to make the save state a little more closer to where I want. So I'm holding down select, getting ready to hit A. I want to do it right there. So now I've got a save state right there. And if I hit select B, it just keeps bringing me back here. And of course, let's just beat him. We'll make a slot 2 save state for phase 2. Alright, so he's getting ready to get up. And you can go ahead. This just pauses the game basically when you go to this menu by hitting start and select. I'm going to go ahead and get slot 2 fired up. Back to game. Now whenever I want, I can hit select A and it'll make a slot 2. Well, let's go ahead and make it here select A. There. So now if I hit select B, it just keeps bringing me back here. If I go back to slot 1, back to game, hit select B, brings me back to my slot 1 save state. And you got 5 slots to play with for each POW file. That's basically the gist of it. The main mistakes you're going to have is when you go to load a save state by hitting select and B, you're going to accidentally hit select A, and that's going to override that slot file. Whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4, when you hit it, you'll have to go back and remake it. I've always had the quick load, save load checked, because I don't want to manually go up here and do this every time I want to load a save state. Especially when you're practicing over and over, you just want to hit select B, practice, select B, practice, select B, practice. It takes too much time to go back to this menu, so that's a nice fast shortcut. So let's see, that should have covered everything with the Powerpak. Just don't ever touch that Powerpak folder, and you can put whatever .nes's in the games folder. You can make as many subfolders as you want. And you know how to keep making endless POW files for save states. So I think that's enough for you guys. That's all you need. So, any other questions, or did that all make pretty much decent sense? I think I'm going to highlight this one too, because if anybody else gets a pack, then I don't have to type. And with the other guys, I kind of just typed instructions back and forth, and it'd be nice just to have a video save that kind of shows it all. Yeah, if I wouldn't have sent those, you would, all the stuff in that Powerpak folder, that's third-party mappers. That's not the stuff you get from Retro USB with the pack. I think you can only do one save state with what came with the pack, and I could never figure it out. But somebody made those third-party mappers that bring up this Power Mapper screen. This is all third-party stuff. You wouldn't have this screen with the basic stuff that comes with the pack. So yeah, that definitely, it took me, the first time I got a Powerpak, I never could figure it out because I was trying to use like the .save files that come with the pack. Never could figure it out. I was on emulator then, so I didn't even need a pack, so I just gave that away to a Ouija Wii. Then when I moved to console, I got another pack, and I finally found White Hat, and he was able to link me to some websites that had the mapper files and kind of get me going, but it took me quite a few days, almost a week probably, to get save states up and going. So when I sent, I think MPAP and Retro Gamer one, it was just much easier to send them. I just copied those 3 files to a CF card. I've got like 40 compact flash cards at work, so I don't even have to buy those. Just pop them in the mail and saves a ton of hassle. But anyway, I got a lot of save states there for probably almost everything you would need. If you're still watching the screen, let me show you what some of the save states are that I have on there. And once you have a game loaded, like let's say you want to switch from Macho Man to Dawn 2, you don't have to exit the menu and start all over and select a game. Once you have a game selected, all you have to do is exit to menu, and instead of hitting A from this screen, go ahead and bring up the menu, select and start. You can see MTPO is already loaded, so I don't need to load it again, but if I want to change save states, just go back to select a slot file, hit A, go down to slots, MTPO, and just pick a new slot file. You don't have to change games. You don't have to go in the game folder unless you want to actually change games. So on my card, I got Von Kaiser. That's pretty and a lot of these I only have 1 or 2 of the 5 saved because I just want the start of the game or each phase, so I might only have 3. But Dawn 2 2 stars, that's save states I made for if you have 2 stars on Dawn 2. And I think slot 1 is the good refill, slot 2 is the medium refill, and slot 3 is the big refill. So you can practice what to do for each refill if you get 2 stars in phase 1. So if you look, slot 1 is selected. I think that's the low refill. So if I hit select B, you can see I'm starting phase 2 with 2 stars. And I don't know if that's, let's look at another one. So if I go to slot 3, yeah, that's the big refill. So if you go back to slot 1, you can practice what to do. So that's what, if you have 2 stars in Dawn 2 with the low fill, that's what you should do. Anyway, you get that. Let's see, exit to menu, select a slot file, slots, MTPO. I have the same thing for Dawn 2 if you only get 1 lucky star. That's called Dawn 2 1 star. Sandman, I've got a save state there, I think, from the start of the game, and then I got a save state before his Dreamline Express so I can practice quick uppers. Macho, basically just a save state from the beginning to practice him. Hippo, just to start a hippo. Tiger, bull 1. Bull 1, I'm going to probably have some multiple save states there. Soda, bull 2. Tyson, the Tyson that's on there, that's a save state just to practice hooks. That Tyson save state gives you a second knockdown at like 2. Well, let's see what it gives you. A second knockdown late in the game, so you got to get all 8 frame perfects to beat him. So that's the save state I use to practice Tyson hooks. The save state I have called practice. That's the one I use the most because this is a save state I use to practice before I do runs. And slot 1 is Sandman, Dreamland Express practice. I think slot 2 is the beginning of Sandman, unless I've changed them. Slot 3 is Piston Honda 2. Slot 4, no. So slot 5, that's usually where I start. Slot 5 is Phase 2 Bull 1. So I practice if I get the lucky star or not here. Slot 4 is Honda 2. Where I practice Honda 2. And on my Honda 2 save state, I've got different phases for him. Slot 3 is Dawn 2, beginning of the fight. Slot 2, I think, is the beginning of Sandman, and slot 1 is Sandman DLXs. So that's basically the save states that you got there on your pack. Yeah, you can do runs on the pack. It's frowned upon. But if you do runs on the pack, don't bring up this menu and don't do any sort of save states. You can do runs on the pack, but you got to start the... Like right now, if I wanted to do a run on the pack, I'm going to hit the reset button physically on the console and hit start. You don't want to reset... You can reset the game here by hitting reset game. But if you're going to do it on the pack, hit the reset button on the console. Just use the pack. The only way people really should use the pack to do runs is if they don't have a cart, and the only way they can play it is by putting the ROM on the pack. But then once you do that, just pretend it's a normal cart and don't use any menus or save states whatsoever. You can play it just like you had a cart. You can put in codes and all that, but just don't do any save states, or don't do anything you couldn't do on the cart. So I would practice with the pack and do any kind of runs on the cart, since you have a cart. So anyway, yeah, is that about it? Does that sound good? Easy peasy? Like I said, if you've got you can screw it up all you want. If you got those 3 files saved on your computer, you can always format that card and reload them. You'll lose any new save states. Or if you add a lot of save states, go ahead and just re-back up the changes you've made to your computer. Just always keep a backup. You never even know if that card will crash. Alright guys, hope that helps. Congratulations on the pack. That should help out your freaking practice like crazy. Anyway, good luck guys. I'm going to highlight that in case anybody else needs it for later. Hopefully it was decent. I'm not a very good teacher, but I think that was doable. Alright guys, we'll see you, man. Have a good night.